What's up, guys? Super Miles Yo here. I'm cleanly shaved, and I got a fresh new do. Maybe a little shorter than I wanted, but that is no matter. Did I say that yesterday? I might have. I think I actually did. I forgot that I had recorded yesterday's after I got my haircut. But no matter. Today is our final video in this Chasm series, based on my third original album. Link in the description if you want to check that out. It's also here on YouTube. So yeah, this is one of the longer and also one of my favorite, but certainly one of the most interesting Logic sessions to get into. So I'm very excited about this episode. Also, since we're concluding this series, I'll talk briefly at the end about what you can expect from me this summer, so the coming few months, on this channel and beyond. So that'll be interesting. Stick around, and we'll get into that. There's no instrument behind me today, well, directly behind me on the bed, because, it's mostly a cappella, save for a few moments, and so there's not much for me to show you. Everything I'm going to show you is right in the session. So before we jump into said session, I don't have much to show you as far as a voice memo goes. Somebody's being a jerk and revving up their engine. Sorry about that. I don't have much to show you. I came up with the concept for this song in mid to late last year. And I recorded a few ideas, but none of them, like the final version ended up being very different than that. The only thing I will show you is one that I recorded in December of 2024 called Pale Petals, which is kind of the closest to what we ended up with. It was just an idea that I recorded, and it's pretty rough. So let me just play that for you. I think I'm...
How the blooms are dying, pale petals fly, as far as my eyes can see.
Different lyrics.
From my hideaway under the cherry blossom tree.
Okay. I think I was very congested when I recorded that. But anyways, that was the idea. And again, I had a lot of ideas, and some of them didn't really stick until I really got down to it. I meant to release this like a little earlier, but I still got it out in springtime, which is kind of the whole point. The album was just a little bit delayed. I meant for the album to be released like around my birthday, March 20th. Ended up being pushed a little later, but that's all right. I think without further ado, it's time to get into this Logic session. Get ready, because it's the most magnificent one of this album. Bang. There it is. Here's the Logic session. Just because, this one is more involved, I'll go ahead and do a quick little region count for you. Oops, wrong button. Come on now. Don't do this. 683. Let's see if I remember how to do this. 683 regions. So, nothing too wild, but certainly compared to the other ones, it's quite a bit. And again, we can expand this. The whole song is coming in at just over 5 minutes. It's a bit lengthier, so we got a lot to talk about. So I reckon we do just that. Put on my headphones real quick, and let's get into it, shall we? All right. So it goes without saying, I know you guys are antsy for me to hit the start button, and I'm about to, but you might see up here this is called Georgia 2.0. I don't know why it does this. I think it's showing me all the previous versions of this session, and I actually copied and pasted the session itself to retain all the settings from my cover of, some of these even say Georgia, from Georgia on My Mind, my cover of Jacob Collier's arrangement of that, which I did about a year ago. A little less than that, I guess. And because I sort of wanted a similar vibe, and there's a lot of Jacob references to this, and or just things that might remind you of it. This entire song, I was kind of going for a Georgia on My Mind feel to it, but there's certainly other moments that harken to other songs of his, so we'll try and listen for that as well, and I'll point them out as they come. Let me just go ahead and play this for you and see what we got. Okay, so we're going for a slow... I was unsure of how to begin this song. again, I was thinking back to Georgia on my mind, where he sort of does that scattered, like, pyramiding of, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do, just a direct copy of that. And so I thought maybe something where I just slowly build up, almost as if something is blossoming or blooming. And so we start out with just pretty simple, just a root and a fifth. Pretty sure these guys are, there's your B natural. And then up here, oops. Right, so that's all we have at first. And then we have a lot more here. Yeah, so you can hopefully hear, like, I have other notes sort of creeping in there. So we start, again, same with the root and the fifth, but I also have an E natural sort of creeping in there. Right, and then we also have this. Yeah, so we're sort of suggesting a B major triad. I mean, there are the notes of a B major triad in there, but then we have that E creep in there as well. The song ends up being in the key of E, but I decided to sort of revolve around the key of B in this opening section. A lot of breaths, everything's very slow, and we have our final one here. I even added some extra breaths in there because it wasn't breathy enough. That's all they're doing. So immediately everything's a lot stronger. I think it's all the same notes that were in the last one at first, but they all, I even give it a, and then, yeah, so that's going to be hard to hear unless you're wearing headphones. So there we have sort of an it doesn't quite feel finished because we do resolve to kind of that. I guess there is a B on the bottom, but it's so quiet next to everything else. Yeah, I guess that serves on its own as resolve, but it still kind of lacks the foundation that you need. And so then we have these guys come in here, which is just, yeah. And I don't even think those are alter Boyd. Yeah, I think we do have an octaver later, but that's just me straight up hitting that note. I might have done very speed, but I don't know. And there we go, sort of fade out. There's your intro there. Nothing too crazy. Open this up real quick. This is a Dr. Pepper Zero. Not my typical libation, but I ran out of these guys, unfortunately. We go through them like a pack of wolves, if wolves drank sparkling ice. I don't like orange mango that much. I love orange. Mango, I digress. Anyways, we are in the key of E though, so I thought I'd resolve to like the dominant chord, and that's a natural progression into the main song, which of course is in the key of E. Again, worth noting, there is flex pitch liberally throughout pretty much all of the background vocals. Weirdly, oh, no, you guys have it too. I don't know why they're not showing up. But none on the melodies. And again, that is something that I'm going to hold myself to going forward unless I just can't do it. But for all the melody stuff, lead vocals, there is no pitch correction whatsoever. And I'm going to hold myself to that at a principle, but also I think it's going to sound a lot better. But because it's so intricate, I had to use flex pitch on the rest of the vocals. So, sorry about that. Here we go.
The sun is warmer today. The snow is melting away.
I don't have any of the... I don't think. No, yeah, I think I got rid of everything else. So I think what I did here, just to make sure that it was locked in, is I just recorded the vocals, the lead vocals, kind of bit by bit, I think. Maybe I did multiple takes and then took the best. I'm not actually quite sure. But I think I just recorded through over and over each line until I got a good take and just spliced them together like that. Let's take a listen to that real quick, see what's going on here.
The sun is warmer today, the snow is melting away, and the sky is as clear.
Okay, I can kind of hear the background vocals underneath that, so I guess I did record it on top of the background vocals. So there you go. I probably did take me multiple takes though. Reverb, again, this is similar to my cover of Georgia on My Mind. I kind of kept everything the same, short vocal haul. So the reverb is not too intense, but that's a very present lead vocal, and for now it's just one track singing that. And yeah, so let's get into some of this background. I do kind of like this whole song is kind of characterized by suspensions and resolutions, but they're happening at different times. So if you just listen to this, you'll hopefully hear what I'm talking about. Okay, so pretty standard, but we have all these whoa, whoa. We have different things happening at different times. Oh, yeah, and then so, you know. So there's a lot that I'm trying to do manually, performance-wise, of just knowing which notes are most important in a phrase and when they need to back off a little bit. Also where I need to place them in the mix. So a lot of these are panned pretty harshly, left or right. So, you know, if I play these guys, you'll hear a lot really on the outer sections of your ear if you're listening with headphones. Right? So, yeah, then all together, that chord is probably one of my favorites in this section. I love that there's still an E in there, and so it's almost like an F sharp. No, not like a G sharp minor chord. But because we still have that E in there, it's clinging to that E major first inversion sound. So, but you know, it's also got. Yeah, it also has that B natural in there. I'm going to try and talk some music theory. Again, like my lack of specific training is going to come through here, but I'll try and talk about why I made some of these decisions. But I do like that chord there. So
the snow is melting away.
Yeah, that jump is a little unexpected, but to me that's what makes it interesting. I thought about like the snow is melting away, but melting away. That just having that jump there is a little cooler to me. So.
And the sky is as clear as can be. Winter's cold.
Yeah, so that's the first part where it's like, oh crap, you're not playing around, are you? So I believe sort of what I'm doing there. With a lot of extra notes in there, but I'm doing a classic progression that I've come to just really love lately, and that is, I think this is maybe what you might call a tritone substitution, but what that really means to me just is that you're going from like a half step up down to that root. So if you were in the key of E major. Mm, so we go from a half step up from that, which is sort of this F major sound down to that E. Again, I believe that is a tritone substitution. But you don't have to know that or think about that. I just love that sound. So we go to the 5 chord, and instead of resolving straight to that 1, we could have just held that and then down to the 1, but we take an extra crunchy little step. Yeah. And again, it's about being tasteful with, like, and when I sing as can be on that word be, there's a little bit of a lull. I think there's just a few notes happening there, and it allows that extra stuff to come back in. It gives your ear just a little bit of a break. So right there, it's pretty simple, but then everything else comes back in. Right. So let's move on a little bit.
Winter's cold is dying, all the birds are flying, and the rivers are finally flowing.
Okay, stop right there for a sec. Whoa. What is that? I feel like that is a Jacob reference, but things are not coming to me right now. Whoa. Maybe it's it's kind of giving me a little bit of a Human Heart, which is a Coldplay and Jacob Collier crossover thing. Only got a human heart, I wish it didn't run away. Ba-do-do-do-do-do-do. Go listen to that song, it's beautiful. But that movement's giving me a little bit of that. There might be something else that I'm forgetting. Not too far. Again, a lot more suspensions happening in there, and that's going to continue throughout the song. Oh, maybe also, gosh. I can't think of it right now. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe it's coming to you, and you know what I was referencing there.
As I sit alone,
Oh, went too far.
rivers are finally flowing free.
I really like that, and I'll tell you exactly where I got that idea from. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's in a lot of songs, but what we're doing there is we're going to a D major chord, which relatively is like the flat 7, and building our triad off of that. There's a song called "Set Me as a Seal." Renee Klaus maybe is the arranger. It's Renee something, Rene. We sang it in choir, this arrangement. It's a beautiful arrangement. But that chord progression happens several times, but especially towards the end. It's in the key of D, but there's like a C major chord that goes down to that A major, which is the 5. I just really like that sound. So instead of, like, I could have ended that.
Rivers are finally flowing free.
So that's that F sharp there. That could have been easily another 5 chord. Free, free, free. So, which, yeah, that would kind of be what makes sense. But F sharp is also in a D major triad, and that's ultimately, if I could give any advice to you as a pretty much completely self-taught, lover of harmony, that's like the biggest thing I can say is how you find interesting reharmonizations is just to simply look at the melody and what note is in the melody, because when you're reharmonizing something or coming up with something original, your melody should not be too crazy, especially if it's a familiar melody like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for that matter. Look at that melody. I mean, it's an indestructible melody. You can do whatever you want with it. Just look at the note and think, okay, here's what chord probably makes sense in this, but this note here, what other chords could that note be a part of? And that will get you so far. So even if I didn't have that context of like, ooh, I know this chord would be pretty here, I can just look at that melody note, F sharp, and just play around with chords. What other chords have an F sharp in it? And there's a bunch. There's a bunch of chords. Some of them stronger choices than others. And one of the stronger choices for me, and the prevailing one, was that D major triad. So
Finally flowing free as I sit alone under the cherry blossom.
okay, so there's our returning line, the cherry blossom tree. And what's interesting about it, I made a conscious decision to have that be the same note, cherry blossom tree, because I thought that would leave me some interesting freedom to do some different stuff with it. So you'll hear it's different every time it appears. So I didn't want to go too overwhelming at first, so I just went with a simple major 4 to minor 4. Love that sound. So play the bass line with you. Yeah, exactly. So nothing too crazy, but because we have that cherry blossom tree, that's also that E natural is shared, of course, by the 4th chord, which in this case is an A major chord. And so that's one of the strongest things about using a plagal cadence, is that you can stay on that melody note, on the root, between the 4 and the 1 chord, and it'll carry over. I digress. So let's move on.
Cherry blossom tree.
Yeah, so that's another interesting progression. This is one of those moments that I think does kind of harken back to Georgia on My Mind, because after he does the first verse, Georgia, the whole day through, Georgia on my mind. Yeah, keeps Georgia on my mind. There's like 5 or 6 chords in between the first and second verse that are sort of just wild. They take you on a little trip. And so that's what I wanted to do at this section. Again, we have that, well, I guess not again, it's a different. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, another big tip of mine, chromatic motion. You can rarely go wrong with a nice chromatic voice leading. So, that's exactly what I do. I don't know exactly what that's called. I don't know if you can call it a tritone sub. Probably not. If it's not going back to the root, again, I don't know quite how that works, but basically we need to land on that 5 chord to lead us back into the 1 chord, but I go with a semitone above that, then land on that 5 chord. So I guess like a flat 6 maybe? Again, I couldn't even tell you. Yep, and then we're led into our second verse. So we shall press on.
Springtime is near.
Yeah, so springtime. At that, sometimes I like to play around specifically with the lyrics and paint a certain picture with the harmony. So to paint this picture of springtime appearing, or being here, I have a sort of bloom. What sounds like a bloom to me? This. Yeah, this is that might be what Jacob would call a rainbow. I don't know. Okay, so that's weird, isn't it?
Springtime is near, and the only sound I hear.
Again, there's another moment of taking an unexpected turn based on that melody note. So what do we have here? This is the exact same like melody as it was in the first
Time
verse.
is near, and the only sound I hear.
I mean, it's a little different, but we are landing still on that same note.
Sound I hear.
Right? So that would make sense to have, you know, that 5 chord again. But we don't. Instead we have and I chose okay, what if that's now the 5th of the chord? Then that would be so instead we have
And the only sound I hear.
yeah, so now we have that like I guess I'll call it G sharp since we're in the key of E, but I want to call it an A flat chord, dominant chord.
Sound I hear.
So then we land on that because I thought that would be fun. And then everything from this chord on for these next few measures is purely chromatic.
Is the soft, gentle buzzing of the bees.
Literally all of that is chromatic. And we're getting down there. I almost assuredly recorded that early in the morning because I can't hope to get a B out right now. Probably not even a C. And I did have to change the melody a little bit. Instead of
Buzzing, dull buzzing of the bees.
Instead of the bees, it's of the bees, because it works with those chords.
Buzzing of the bees. The petals blossom and bloom.
And here's our first instance of the melody being doubled, in this case tripled. I felt like it just needed a little extra ambience here.
The petals blossom and bloom, wash away all the gloom.
Yeah, just for support. They're not super prominent. And we have a more like lyrical, sort of held out harmony here. So some moving parts happening up here. A lot of these are just sustaining. Sometimes you need just a nice pedal. And then up here we have our kind of movement happening. Voice crack. Ugh. Shouldn't even try that. My voice is really scrappy right now.
Wash away all the gloom, and there's still room for another. So maybe
Yeah, so minor 2 there.
another. So maybe you'll
Yeah, I do like that. So I had that idea, just probably in one of my voice memos, just like, you know, so maybe, and then I had like a call and response with maybes. So let's, oopsies. No! What happened? I don't know what I just did, but hopefully it didn't mess anything up. Sometimes if I try to undo with these big sessions, it'll, you know, glitch out on me. Let me try and find those maybes. Yeah. Ah. Are you? And then I probably do have some harmony for those. Maybe. So that's an octave higher than the melody. Maybe. So that's it's kind of taking like a going from like, what would that be? No, kind of borrowing from like D major, so I guess like 2 steps back in the circle of fifths. It's just a slightly darker sound. That's all that kind of matters, really, I guess. But we do have that call and response there.
Maybe.
And again, I panned hard on those, so it's like maybe over here, maybe over here. That it's really effective with call and responses to pan hard left or right if you're going for that sound. And then
You'll sit with me under the cherry blossom.
Well, there's one at the end that I think is probably my favorite. This is that exact like transition I was talking about that changes every time. Cherry blossom tree. This time though, it's probably my second favorite. We opt to do something again. It harkens back to what I was just saying. Think about the melody note. We have an E natural. Cherry blossom tree. Assuming I can sing it properly. And last time we used a minor 4 or major to minor 4. This time I was thinking, well, what if we start on a 4 chord, and then we what other chords have the key have an E natural in it? Well, a C major chord does. That would be out of left field, wouldn't it? But I was hearing that. I was like, So going from an A natural to a C natural to an E in the bass line, and that kind of logically led me to an A chord to a C chord, but there's some other notes in there to really enhance that. Oops, I went too far.
Sit with me under the
I didn't highlight the right stuff, sorry. Yeah. So, with the melody, so you stop. Please, no. Also a few things can top a nice, first inversion 1 chord to 4. Even though I don't know if that's...
You'll sit with me.
I guess that's not what's happening. But what I said still stands.
You'll sit with me under the cherry blossom.
And of course, I'm not using any pitch correction up here, but I think I did try, since I knew it was going to be a C chord. Please, my webcam's being all sassy. And of course, E is the 3rd degree, or the 3rd, major 3rd in that chord. Then I tried to make it a little flatter. Whether or not I actually succeeded in that is another story. Oh, I don't even know if it's focused or not. There we go. I think that's good.
Under the cherry blossom.
Cherry blossom. I'm exaggerating a little bit there, but I wanted it to be a little flatter. I don't know if I pulled that off, but...
Sit with me under the cherry blossom.
Yeah, but what I did to make it a little bit more bearable, is not too out of left field. Again, chromatic movement. And that acts as our dominant 7 in that chord. Again, so A to B flat to B natural. And if you can do that, then your ear will more easily follow that wacky chord progression. So, and I think there's a little sneaky D natural in there too, on that C chord. So that provides yet another chromatic motion. And that one drops out, I think. So, but it still, it carries you from that A natural with the C sharp to that D natural. So it provides you with just another escort to that weird chord. And that's enough about that.
Tree.
Yeah. So I'm opening up to, instead of oohs, I'm opening up to a more old ooh. And what that does subtly is, and play around with different vowel sounds. It's such a nice exercise, but you really do, without getting into the weeds, you introduce so many new like harmonics into your voice, depending on just how your voice is naturally structured. For me, when I sort of open it up a lot more, it creates this bigger sound. And I can't quite articulate it, but play around with vowel sounds, and I think you'll learn a lot. But I especially like this clash. No, where's the E's? Yeah, so there's the E's. And normally I would have the bass stay on that note and have the top note move down, but I think the clash here is just right when I have the basses move. So that's like one of the most dissonant intervals on its own, is the minor ninth, and there's an extra octave separating them as well. But like ooh, ooh, or maybe there's not. No, I guess there's not. So that is a minor ninth. So just on its own, that's very crunchy, but there's something just so tear-jerking when the rest of the stuff comes in. And it's only for a fleeting moment, so it's fine. Then we end on that nice that 4, but it's a major 7 chord. Yeah, so we play around with that a lot as well, with different harmonies coming in. So we have a more intense one come in after that. And again, there's a lot of manual stuff happening. I'm doing that, so manually, like swelling, but also adding more vibrato towards the end. Yeah. So all together.
Blossom tree.
And that brings us into our pre-chorus, I guess I'll call it.
'Cause I wanna make this moment last, but the world's just spinning too damn fast.
Yeah. Nothing too complicated here for this first pre-chorus. More suspensions, big surprise. So we start off with our first inversion, 1 chord. Okay, now things get a little hairy.
Better begin to take it all in before it comes to pass.
Okay, so I had a couple options here.
Better begin.
Actually, I had infinite options, as you do as well, whatever you do in your life.
Wanna make this
Oops.
too damn fast. Better begin to take it all in before it comes to pass.
Okay, so better begin. I could have done this. Better begin to take it all in before it comes to pass. That would probably make the most sense diatonically. But as I like to do sometimes, I was like, well, sometimes diatonic just ain't gonna cut it.
Too damn fast.
So
Better begin to take it all in.
I talked about this yesterday, I think, as a minor third modulation being like one of the sweetest sounding progressions. Jacob uses it to his advantage in the real early morning. In the real early morning. But then he goes, when out in the distance. So then he briefly visits the key of G. And so I think that's kind of what we do here, right?
Fast. Better begin to take it all in. It all in.
So we start out.
Better begin to take it all in.
So that's quite a darkening of that sound. And really, all we're doing in the melody is just lowering what it would have been by a half step. So instead of take it all in, it's take it all in. So we still end on the same note, but that allows us to do something unexpected with the harmony. So, you know, start that minor 2, I think is what that is. And that, you know, since we're on that F sharp chord, it's only a half step up to G. Might as well do it, right? Chromatic, you know? And that leads us right back up to A. And then B. It just makes sense, guys, you know? And of course we have this sort of thing happening here. And by the end of it, I mean, it is ah. It is a pure ah sound, which again, I mean, don't you just hear those harmonics in there? Like, right? I mean, you can't tell me that's just not more of like a cathedral-esque sound. That's probably not even a word. Right? Anyways, and that brings us to our chorus. So let's go ahead and see what we got. Yeah, and then we have some extra notes, as if that wasn't enough. Wait. Oh, I guess the basses come in as well here. Yeah, so we already have some basses here, but then I thought I just needed some extra reinforcement as we go into our chorus. Right? Now open your eyes. So
now open your eyes, 'cause it only comes round once a year. How beautiful is it?
Right. So that's, you know, that's pretty prominent.
Now open your eyes, 'cause it only comes round once a year.
So that's a little interesting. I know I'm harmonizing Open Your Eyes somewhere in here. Not there, I guess. Is it here?
Open your eyes.
Yeah, you can't hear it that much.
Open your eyes.
Because this is just so dang loud.
Now open your eyes.
But there is harmony on that going.
Now open your eyes, 'cause it only comes round once a year.
So that's definitely worth talking about here. So in the melody we have, as it only comes round once a year. It's much more loose, but in the harmony it's kind of played a lot more straight. Only comes round once a year. It's pretty much straight triplets. But up here it's quite a bit looser. So if I just play these guys, only comes round once a year.
Cause it only comes round once a year. Cause it only comes round once a year.
And some I actually am saying the words, and some I'm just doing oohs. Shouldn't have even done that.
Cause it only comes round once a year. How beautiful is it, Lincoln, you're missing.
There's something in there that I like. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's actually in the lower register. Yeah, there it is. I love that E that's in there. It just sustains. Because it's, you know. It's just that perfect, you know, suspension. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that is another 4 chord with some extra notes in there, of course, couldn't resist.
Lincoln, you're missing.
But with a very prominent major 7 note, so it's a major 7 chord, and the melody is the major 7.
You're missing a lot.
So that's bold, but I liked it. And again, we're doing that A to a C to an E. But it's a much more open sound. I don't even think there's a there's well, later there is, but right here there's a D in there. It's just a very open sound. But there is a note. There's a few notes that creep in there to add an even extra crunch, an even extra wow, before you hit that resolution. Did you hear that? You can barely hear it. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, so that's one of them. There's a B. There it is. Right? So we have. And that F natural doesn't like necessarily fit there, but I heard it and I couldn't resist. So. Chromatic movement. What do you know? There's that movement again. And who's sustaining this time? Yeah, so this time the so we have them holding that E, but then down here nice clash all together. But then bass line adds something interesting. The bass line comes in later because I like that sound. So at first we kind of have just a little higher, and then the bass just drags us right back down. So what you're hearing there is a classic sound. It's a secondary dominant sort of thing, but we do chromatic motion. Oh, I forgot I added the. So that's actually the third of that secondary dominant. So it's essentially the major 2 chord, but you just don't call it that. But we go.
I won't be afraid. All
right. So we're getting into another verse right before our instrumental break, and there's the first kind of really overt Jacob Collier reference is right here, and you might recognize it.
I won't be afraid.
And it's not exactly the same voicings or harmony or anything, but in my room, that's another one people pointed out in the comments of what it reminded them of. But now it's dark and I'm alone, but I won't be afraid. That's not the right key. He does it in B. But I always love the harmony that he did on that, and so it's sort of similar. It gives you the same vibe. I won't be afraid. So those are my own lyrics, of course, for this song, but it's the same lyrics as what he did. So I thought I'd bring some of that harmony into here.
Sitting.
Oops.
I won't be afraid. I won't be afraid.
And again, we do another D natural chord. It's just a nice surprise.
I won't be afraid. Sitting in the shade.
Yeah. Nothing too complicated about that. So just follow the very triadic movement. Minor 2 to a 4, which is they're already pretty similar chords function wise, so pretty natural progression. And now Nice A chord, but with prominent B.
And now,
And now.
and now.
Yeah. Oops, what happened? What did I do? What happened? Someone soloed? Oh, stop it. Ruining everything.
In the shade, and now, I,
And now.
and now I know, I know, I know.
Just trying to figure out what to do there, and I thought I'll just repeat some of those words. So, and now, I know. You know.
And now,
And now.
and now I know, I know,
Contrary motion.
I know.
Some of them are going up, some are going down.
I know.
And then
Decree,
I can safely decree.
and now, I can safely decree.
So yeah, the melody isn't actually saying I know at all. I just the background vocals sort of just take that, which is nice. It's a nice little background thing.
I can safely decree. I know. I belong here under the.
Yeah,
I know. I belong here under the cherry blossom.
I do like the liberties that the melody takes. I was kind of conscious to do that, of like sometimes it slows down and then barely makes it in time. I belong here under the cherry blossom. Sort of just, taking a little time. Rubato. I don't know if that's what you say, but
Belong here under the cherry blossom.
we have another interesting one. It kind of stays central around the major 4 chord the whole time, but we're just adding more motion and more crunch.
Under the cherry blossom.
So this, I think, is just...
Cherry blossom.
Yeah, so at its core, it's just a 4 chord.
Cherry blossom.
But yeah, we have a lot of motion in there. Cherry blossom.
Cherry blossom.
Cherry blossom.
Cherry blossom.
So the result is,
Cherry blossom.
what are you?
Under the cherry blossom.
Oh, I guess I doubled the melody here.
I can safely decree.
It's subtle.
Belong here under the cherry.
I guess I just decided it needed a little bit more sparkle there, so...
I can safely decree.
So you can barely hear the octave double on the melody.
I know. I belong here under the cherry blossom tree.
So this is hearkening back to that same pattern we did before. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, this.
Tree.
But it's not the same as that. Because the role of this is to change our key signature. It's to modulate. You will soon see. But there's a couple of decisions I made here which could very well not always work, but I think they do here. One of those is parallel octaves, which you might hear as a big no-no in classic music theory. It's here, I think. Yeah, and the bass. And then at the end they diverge, but for the most part they are moving in parallel the whole time. And the reason I think that works here is, actually I don't really know, but I think it sounds good, and that's the answer. It adds a certain strength to it that I can't quite articulate, but I think it's just powerful and it works, and there's enough inner voicings that it doesn't really lose any of its integrity. And there we are, sort of in the key of G, as you might notice. And again, I could walk you through each of these chords and try and flounder through what it is, but I'd rather just say that I tried to think about, okay, you sort of have to first think about your starting point and ending point. So the key of E to the key of G, what's your relationship there? Well, it's up a minor third. Again, really nice modulation to do. And then I knew roughly how many chords I needed in between, but I had to, you sort of think, okay, what's my ending point, and reverse a little bit from that. So what's a satisfying way to arrive in the key of G? Well, the first obvious answer is from the 5 chord, which would be a D chord. And then you could do a 2-5-1. That's probably one of the most common things to do. So that would put you at, an A major chord, and then a D major chord, and then a G major chord. And well, we can get to an A major chord easy in the key of E. So you have to sort of find the common ground there. The key of E and the key of G, they don't inherently share a lot of chords, but if you do a 2-5, if you do a secondary dominant, then you will end up with an A major chord in G major, which it would normally be minor, of course. But here it's that's sort of your through line there. I think that's in there, I hope. Yeah. And that's exactly why secondary dominants, well, there's a lot of reasons why, but that's one of the things that makes it so effective, in that you get that chromatic line in there from that accidental that you add, or it's borrowing it from the dominant key. That's why it's called secondary dominant. I don't want to get too into it, but so I thought, okay, as long as we can land on an A major chord, then I know how to get to G from there. And so that's what I do. I find our way to an A major chord, which serves as a 2-5-1 to G. And there we go. Well, I'm not sure why that's muted. I don't know. But yeah, that brings us into our melodica and bass solo. Let me move you up here, since you have no reason to be down there. And why did you get big all of a sudden? What is happening, bro? Quit getting big. What? Stop it. I want you to be like that. Okay, let's hope that'll work. So, oh my gosh. Guys, what is happening? Help. Help me. Help me, help me, help me. I clicked a button, and now every track I click is big. No thanks. Well, guys, I done broke it, and you're just gonna have to put up with it. Oh well. Was the melodica really that loud in the final mix? That's maybe it was, but for the purposes of this, I'll turn it down a little bit. What is happening? Everything is so messed up right now. But yeah, we're in the key of G now. And this is, again, borrowing sort of from the vibe of Georgia on My Mind. We have a U bass and melodica solo, and it's a bit slower, and it is trying sort of more in line with Georgia on My Mind, because we have these long sort of drawn out phrases that end and then come back in, maybe on a weird offbeat. And we'll get to all that. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm drawing from there. And it's worth mentioning that I have a 20-minute voice memo. I'm not going to play you any of that because I don't think there's a reason to, but it's just me noodling on the melodica, and in that 20 minutes I ended up with what you're hearing here just scattered throughout, and then I go back and listen to it, pick out little sections. So I'm not improvising it on the fly in one take or anything like that. I'm kind of just making stuff up recording a bunch and then going back and thinking, oh, this was nice, and then I form the entire solo, and then I do the harmony. That's kind of generally how I do these things. So. All of that's pretty basic, nothing too surprising there. It's all pretty much diatonic. I do like this moment in here. You might hear that. Oh, I guess you're down here. Please don't do this. Yeah, and you're hearing on that. Oh, I guess it's you. Yeah. They are very far panned. That interesting line, sometimes, you want to put that interesting line with more movement on the outside of your ear so you can still make it out amongst all this craziness. So if you hear that, you can hear that movement in there. Or if you listen, you can hear that. And there's our first out of left field moment here. Flat 6, flat 7, 1. Need I say more? E flat, F, G. So then we briefly go visit back to the key of E. Just by way of a B minor thing, and then now back to A major. I just thought it would be an interesting little bright moment. Some more fun movement in there. It's a little weird, but fun. I like that. Da da da, but then we have some holding. Da da da. So there's another surprising. Oops. So again, yeah, now we're in the key of G, of course, so our flat 7 is F, so we go back down to an F chord there, which is a nice, it's a nice sound. Do-do-do-do. Yeah, the bass is going off a little bit. I rarely use the U bass anymore. I only did to be true to Georgia on My Mind. It sounds fine sometimes, but it's a little gummy and rubbery for my tastes. I've got a really nice acoustic bass. There it is, right there. Martin D. Jr. acoustic bass, and I like to record that just straight up to the sound hole. But I think it works for this song. The U bass is fine. Do, do, E flat to a D. Chromatic stuff. Now that is probably one of the most interesting moments in here, and I do want to talk about it real quick. So again, we're on that E flat. And we're using more parallel stuff. So we have, I believe, is it... Oh, whoa, whoa. So I have that, and I have it up here as well. So a lot of parallelism there. But there's more than that. So, oh, and the bass is doing that as well. Boom, boom, boom. So just a ton of parallel. but there's a reason for that, and I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, so yeah, so again, it's I'll call it a tritone substitution, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Sorry, but you might be hearing this in there, and I just want to confirm to you that it's there. That's right. I think it's you two, maybe? That is correct. They are in there. And let me talk briefly about that, because I did not have those originally. Originally, I just had this. Let me play you that. So sans bass, this is what I had. So the highest note was doing this. And that's fine. That would have worked. You know, so with the basses in the melodic as well. And I don't know if you can hear this. It depends on what you're listening to this, on which you were listening to this. For me, I was listening to this in the car. So with headphones, it's a little harder to hear. So when I was mixing it, I didn't hear this. I played it in my car. So go ahead, try, if you can, play this on speakers, maybe in a car on your phone, and listen for that note up there, that high B flat, but very high, like the one that I played you, that it's muted now. But see if you can almost hear that as a harmonic or in the background. I swear, like, if I didn't know better, I would have said it was in there. When I was listening in my car, I was like, I almost heard that note. But then I was like, I know it's not in there, but oh, it needs to be now. So I went back and, like, I think the whole song was done. And I went back and I was like, that needs to be in there. So it's very subtle, because I didn't want to, like, make anyone's ears bleed. So, but there's no denying that it's in there now. And it is worth mentioning, I definitely used Varispeed for that. I think I probably recorded it maybe down here. Let's see if that is accurate. No, not that low. Maybe it was this. That's probably about right. That's still pretty high for me, not gonna lie. Sometimes I can hit this note, actually, that B flat, but it was not one of those days. I didn't feel like waiting. So there you go. It's in there, and I like it. So yeah, just changing the voicing slightly, but still staying on that G chord. So now we are in the key of G, just for the rest of the song. Isn't that something? But to usher us back in, we have that same movement again. And we go straight into another pre-chorus, except now it's in the key of G. So, translation, it's a lot higher for me to sing.
'Cause I wanna make this moment last, but the world's just spinning too damn fast.
Whoa, so it's a little different there.
'Cause I wanna make this moment last, but the world's just spinning too damn fast.
Because that is eight regions going at once just on the melody. That is a big sound.
Wanna make this moment last, but the world's just spinning too damn fast.
So there is harmony on that. Let's see if I can find them all. No.
This moment last.
So that was probably wrong.
But the world's just spinning to moment last.
Was it you?
But the world's just
No, is it you?
to spin.
Yeah, there it is. So all together we have this.
'Cause I wanna make this moment last, but the world's just spinning too damn fast.
It's a little weird, but it's because we're not ending on our root chord. We're ending instead.
The world's just spinning too damn fast. Too damn fast.
We're ending on a major 2 chord, which is interesting, but I used that. We land on the G here,
Too damn fast.
and I use that as the dominant 7 of a major 2 chord. You know,
Spinning too damn fast.
I was just hearing that. I thought it'd be more interesting.
Just spinning too damn fast. I can't begin to take it all in a world so vast.
Yeah, similar to last time.
I can't begin to take it all in a world so vast.
Yeah. So some of them are doing that. These guys are all. Oh, I think it's not all of them. Right? So all together. Pretty big sound, gotta say. And then we have this oh whoa whoa. Did I solo something again? Stop it.
Open your eyes.
Yeah, so. Oh, are you in there too?
Cause it only comes round once a year.
Yeah, it's going down there. Let's see what y'all are up to here. Are you going?
Now open your eyes. Now open your eyes.
Yeah, so it's pretty high.
Now open your eyes. 'Cause it only comes round once a year.
Yeah, pretty similar there.
Only comes round once a year. How beautiful is it? Blinking, you'll miss it.
Yeah, and again, my favorite little suspension there. Yeah, and I chose not to go down to the low C there. Because I thought it needed to be not quite there yet. You know?
Blinking, you'll miss it.
I just think a low C would have been a little too thick right there.
Miss it.
And then we go down to it right after that. Nice. And that's pretty high.
Miss it at last. It's here.
Right?
It's here.
Ooh. Same deal there. And then ooh. Just a different version of that same sort of movement.
And now the blooms are dying.
Okay, so we've reached our final verse.
And now the blooms are dying. Pale.
Yeah, so very gentle. But we still have our same suspension and weaving parts. My shelter. that's an interesting.
My shelter, escaping with the breeze.
Yeah, that G being in there is interesting. I almost forgot those in there. Oh, what are we doing?
But I won't.
So now we've got like a D major. What? I won't. Again, because that's supposed to be the third of our root chord, that B major, or B natural.
But I won't
shed a tear. So again, what else could that note be? Like that could be the root of a B major chord, you know? Of course, diatonically we'd have a B minor chord, but you don't have to do that.
But I won't shed a tear, 'cause in just another year.
And I just take that excuse to just take a little round trip around who knows what. This is a 2-5-1 again. Except that this time it's a minor A minor. But normally right there on that note, it wasn't a root chord ever in the song before.
Just another year.
Another year. That was normally like a 5 chord, I think. But now it's a 1 chord, and the melody is on the major 7, which is a little more interesting, I think.
Just another year, I'll be back here.
Nice thick C chord.
Here, and you can find me.
Same. Oh goodness. No, I don't want this video to be flagged for my copyrighted ringtone. That was my go to choir rehearsal alarm, but I don't have choir rehearsal in the summer. Actually, last week was the last one, so I can probably turn that alarm off. Sorry.
And you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So got some lower notes in there, really thick voicings.
Find me.
I just had to throw that suspension in there. This chord though. Yeah. I mean, again, that's just thick. Like, let's listen to all those notes in there. Low C. We got a G right above it. So all that. And then a D right above that. So, you know, no breaks in that. And then up here we got some more crunchy notes. Another D. So I doubled the 9. And of course the lyrics here are another overt Jacob Collier reference.
In my hideaway.
Right? I mean, that's literally the melody even follows that. In my hideaway. And so that's exactly what I did there. And at the very end of Hideaway, there's this big thick chord. In my hideaway. And I love it. And so that's kind of what I was hearkening to with that really just thick chord.
In my hideaway under the cherry blossom tree.
And that right there might be my favorite Cherry Blossom Tree harmony that I did in this song. And I'll show you why. I keep meaning to solo the regions, and I'm just saving the project. So again, I love the sound of that flat 6, flat 7 1. So that would be like an E flat. Oh, and I could have done that here. I don't think I do that ever at that particular moment. But I just, in this case, having just that straight up, I guess that's an E minor chord. Mm-hmm. And then to the F. Again, like the fact that it's a chromatic thing, and I just the how do I describe this in word? It's just a magnificent like very sure-footed way to get back up to that G chord. It's not too much. Whereas sometimes that flat 6 flat 7 1 can be a little bit too like I'm struggling to find the adjectives, but it reminds me of the end of the Mario song. Da, da, da. And sometimes that's not quite the sound I want. So I think just this. Oh, it's nice. And the oh. Yeah, so this is almost the vibe of this might remind you of the end of In the Bleak Midwinter. Um, After he sinks back to, or he goes to G half sharp and then he, goes to G natural. And then there's this ending section which resolves, I just say, save the dang project again. But, there's all these sort of swirling lines with the G sustained on the top. Resolves to a nice G major chord, and that's so go listen to In the Bleak Midwinter. You might hear what I'm talking about, the very end of it, because there's that G on the top as you're and that that connects all those lines. Yeah. And
Cherry blossom tree.
I could have ended it there, but I didn't. Thank you everybody and good day. That's it. But no, another possible Jacob reference that you might know is again the end of Georgia on My Mind. Big surprise. But at the end of that, he ends. I guess he does. He ends in the key of E. I guess he sort of takes the opposite path. He starts in G, and then ends in the key of E. I've started in E and now I'm ending in G. But he goes from that final E chord down to like it's kind of an ambiguous chord, but he ends on this super surprise like dark voicing. I think so. The end is a and then so it's like a D flat, I think, is the root, but then there's a bunch of other notes stacked on top of it. So I think I kept that same interval. So after that G chord, we get this surprise chord here. Right, whatever that is, I don't know. It is pretty much, that idea was ripped pretty much from Georgia. But let's look at all these notes one by one. So yeah, we have E flat, and then the B flat in there. So we have our 9. We have our 13, I guess that is. Another B flat, major 7, and then the 11 in there, which that's the real crunch, is that A flat in there. Because we haven't gotten to our 3rd yet, but there's the real crunch. So then all together we get this like, oh, what did I do? How am I doing all this crazy stuff? Pressing buttons like nobody's business. So I just have this super dense cluster chord with these, really rich voicing at the bottom, and all together, however many that is, 20 notes going at once. And then we're out. So once again, just so you can hear that. And that's all she wrote. Or me, in this case, being she. And there you go, guys. That is not only it for this song, but that is it for this album. That is crazy. I don't think I have anything left to say here. The lyrics are here. Nothing much to talk about there. But yeah, this song, let me come back to you real quick. Bang. This song was I released it amongst a few other ones, Big Red and... Is that it? That might be the only song I released early as a single from this album, besides like Mask and Ghost, which were already out. But yeah, it was kind of one of the flagship songs simply because I just love my a cappella stuff, and it was just sort of a spring timing of the album, and this song, it just was meant to be a very springtime song. I just love cherry blossom aesthetics and symbolism, and that is obviously pretty prominent on the album cover, which I should probably hang up somewhere in this room now since it's probably finished drying at this point. But yeah, guys, that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed this little series, and I'll talk briefly about what to expect in the coming months. It is summertime now. I don't know if it technically is on the calendar. I don't remember when summer starts. But I'm on summer break, and I will have a sort of job coming up, /intern /something or other, which will eat up a good bit of time. But I'm excited for it, and I'll still have plenty of time. The hours are very early in the day, so I'll be back like afternoon every day. And then weekends I'll still have completely free. So that will still leave me plenty of time to do some fun stuff. I mentioned yesterday I was going to think about like a Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom medley. And I spent some time yesterday listening to the soundtrack, and I realized the problems that I had before, why I've never tackled it to this point. It's just because the soundtracks are so different than any previous Zelda game, and it's really hard to do a medley of that, because I mean, some of the tracks are beautiful, but it just doesn't warrant just because in my medleys I usually like to do little, maybe 15 to 30 second clips from each song, maybe longer if I like it. Or if it's easy enough to record. But Breath of the Wild doesn't have as many songs, or Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like taking a 15-second snippet is very satisfying. Like, they're much longer and ambient, so you kind of, like, they're supposed to be that way, and it's beautiful, and it works wonders. But just taking a 15-second snippet of, like, the Hyrule Field theme and slapping it in a medley just doesn't... You have a do-do-do-do-do-do, 5-second rest, like it doesn't translate as easily. And also just there's a really intricate stuff going on that I don't know so maybe I'll be doing individual tracks, like I might cover the Lucky Clover Gazette theme or Colgera Battle or something, so you might be seeing trickles of like individual covers of Zelda songs from those games, which could be fun. But I will be doing a medley. I think I'm going to start working on it perhaps tonight. And it's going to be a Mario Kart medley. That should be fun and very satisfying. And we have a new Mario Kart game coming out soon. It's a no-brainer. But I've taken a select few music tracks from each of the games, and like over 20 total. So that should be interesting and or fun and both. And maybe you'll listen to that when it comes out. I hope to be able to release it when the Switch comes out, which I think I have just over 2 weeks, which is nuts, and that's pretty lofty. So it might be released a bit later than the game itself, but that's fine, it's whatever. And besides that, like, I do have a few single ideas for like songs. It'll probably be a minute before I start to devise a whole another album. But I do have some song ideas. I'll be mixing some music for my dad because he's coming up with a new album as well, and I'll publicize that wherever I can. Once that is released, I'm excited to start working on that. And I do have a few other just general video ideas for the summer. So I'll probably try and get to working on those. But it's gonna be a fun, packed summer, one way or the other. I'll find a way to fill that time, and whatever it is, I hope you'll be along for the ride. But thank you for watching this series, and I've got plenty of other stuff for you to check out if you're bored or just want something to do. And that's it. So thank you once again, and I will see you very soon, like as not. And that's about all I got for you today. So, peace out.